It's just feeding.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a busy mom. You
I
got
mean, there's a bottle. She's got a bottle too, but I'm like, I might as well just give her
the like
from my flesh.
yeah. So while we're on the topic of breastfeeding, I guess that'd just be a new podcast that we can do. It's a
It
breastfeeding
should be.
podcast hosted by Corey David. I know a lot about it. So I'm interviewing the women that do it the best. No, I'm just kidding. This is Interrogation True Crime Stories. I'm your host, Corey David, and very excited for our guest today. Talk about some crime stuff, some criminal activity with Francesca Fiorentini out of Los Angeles.
Hey, oh man, let's just talk about breastfeeding. I feel like I mean, honestly, I think your audience needs that. We need a break from the stupid crimes. We
Mm-hmm.
need to talk about the perpetual daily crime of a small, helpless human leeching
Mm-hmm.
off of a body for free, straight up.
Not even paying.
Um, no rent,
Literally
no
sucking the life out of you.
sucking the life out of me, just gobbling up the Thanksgiving dinner that I ate
Mm-hmm.
um and made. But it's okay. It's I didn't have enough tryptophan. I didn't have enough turkey because she didn't sleep like I wanted to sleep. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, I was
Should have
gonna
just
say
had more wine.
you were trying to make some sleepy milk, but yeah, it really would have just been wine more than anything. Like I need
Exactly.
both of us to get put down. However, we managed to make that work. It doesn't really matter.
Well, what's interesting also about like crimes and being a new parent is like the crime of not taking care of your child is pretty much perpetually hanging over your head.
Mhm.
Like, oh, if I just stop taking care of this thing, they can arrest me.
I'm gonna
Like,
be in
like if I
trouble.
just leave it, I mean, I would never do that, sweetie, if you're listening from the future.
Mhm.
But, that's kind of why we get up every hour or 2 hours and are sleepless and you know, that's how we humans survive. Because the cops, I don't know. I don't like,
Because of the police. Well,
yeah.
actually, I mean, I am kind of curious. I have two questions really. So were you like a bad kid or were you like pretty well behaved, like followed the rules? Like, where do you think you fell like in one of those categories?
It was interesting because I think I fell in the I was behaved when I other people were chill, meaning like I had a real strong and still do have a strong bullshit meter. So I was in private school for a little bit. I fucking hated everyone there. Everyone was a brat. Everyone's parents were wealthy. I did not fit in, and I got in trouble every goddamn week. I was sent to the principal's office as like a 3-year-old, and then I finally was like pulled out and went to public school. And public school was like people were chill. Like the kids were fine, normal. Nobody was, and I was like, oh, okay. And so then I stopped acting out because I was like, I could sense that everyone else was nice
Yeah.
and not like, their parents were collecting insurance on their homes. I don't know, but I don't know, some
Like
doing weird shit.
pretentious or fake or anything like
Yeah.
that? Was it just you just hated like on like the unauthenticity of the
I
situation?
think I could tell. I could tell that people were like spoiled brats in that particular school.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Was it
none suck except that one.
was it ever an authority thing? Because I was always a big like I hated authority. Like one of my biggest pet peeves to this day is being told what to do as if
Oof.
somebody just asking, right? As opposed to just being like, "Hey, could you do this for me?" is very different to me than do this now or there will be like consequences. So I acted out a lot, but nothing like insane. It was just like playing pranks in school. Like I remember one time we had like a gerbil in like a class, like one of our science classes, and took it out of the thing and put it in somebody's hood. Because I
That's
thought
great.
yeah, turns out they were deathly afraid of rodents, which is like kind of a weird thing.
And they died.
Yeah, a heart attack. Listen, a death by gerbil, that would be, I mean, I don't know if you'd feel bad for them or what. I don't know if you'd want that written into your obituary,
You
but
have to put it on your headstone. That's a credit.
what if your headstone is just like a gerbil head, just sticking out of the ground?
Had the last laugh.
Yeah.
Um,
Second question would be,
mhm.
now that you have a child, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
We haven't really talked since then, but yeah, I mean, what do you think about keeping your like kid like safe, like growing up? I mean, being in LA, where it's like a big city as opposed to living in like a rural area. Like, have you guys thought about that? Like, talked about like what you can do to kind of like make sure they like live like kind of a happy life, like outside of like crime and like maybe doing stuff themselves?
That's a good question. No, we're just again, it's just day by day. But I have thought about it's really just like traffic sounds, and I'm like, this fucking sucks, dude. Like, as I'm from the burbs, and so I'm like, I like the a little quiet. We
Hmm.
live on like a busy street, so she's not gonna get that. But I hope that I hope she can find drugs when she needs some. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
No,
sure.
I
Yeah,
hope
I mean,
no,
like,
no.
you're going to be the ones that are be like, these are the good drugs, these are the bad ones. We're not going to be
Yeah,
able to stop you from doing everything, but
what's interesting though is I do think that coming from the suburbs, I smoked a lot of weed in high school, and I
mm,
think that part of why I smoked so much weed is because I lived outside of San Francisco, not in San Francisco, meaning there's nothing to do. Like
yeah,
there wasn't that much culture where I was. There wasn't really anything going on. And it was kind of like, yeah, we're just gonna smoke weed and drive around or like go on a hike and like get high.
yeah.
Versus, and yes, like the outdoors, a hike is a thing to do that like city kids don't always get. But like I feel like there's just a little bit more going on in a city that you can access. So I would hope I feel like that's a great deterrent from just like getting so high you forget how to breathe kind of thing.
Yeah, because you have options, right? As opposed
Right.
to, I was in the same boat. Like, so grew up in a rural, like suburban area, and we smoked a lot of, like, smoked weed every day. And I always candidly say the most dangerous thing in our neighborhood was us. Like, it was my brother and I. But it was all this dumb, like, just dumb shit. You know
The
what I mean?
gerbil kid. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
like,
Yeah.
pool hopping. I remember one time we put all of somebody's furniture, like their patio furniture, at the bottom of their pool, like as a gag. We just like arranged it, like a lot of like ding dong ditching, like
Yep.
some like egging houses. We were just bored.
Yep.
We were just like literally bored out of our minds.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you ever? Did you ever like vandalize anything? Were you like even just like egging a house or something?
No, I've never done that and I feel bad about it. Like I would do it now, but like outside of like like Clarence Thomas's house, I would love to egg the shit out of that house.
It's more intentional now.
Yeah, definitely more intentional. What did I haven't I did like nothing that interesting in terms of like vandalism. I dated like a graffiti artist for a little bit in New York. So
Oh,
I
cool.
tried to like, you know, women often socialized in patriarchy, try to imitate their boyfriends because they think they're cool and they're like,
Mhm.
like, so sometimes your first relationship, you're like, oh my God, you're amazing and everything you do is amazing. And so I was like, I'm
I
gonna
love I love graffiti. Yeah, it's like my favorite thing.
yeah, oh my God, I've graffitied my crib when I was little. Mom said I etched my name and how old I was um, onto the wall. No, so I think I tagged one thing. I was like, I'm gonna get a graffiti name, a tagging name, and I tagged a thing, and it looked terrible. I
What
didn't
was
have
your
any
tag? What was your graffiti name?
dude. It was so whack. It was so fucking lame. It was medic, M-E what was it? Like I can't even remember. It was like MEDIK, which sounds more like a dick than, but it
It's
was like
yeah.
medic. For some reason, it was medic. And I was like, it's a little long. It might have been MET. It might have been just been like medic, METIC. Or no, that's MEDIC. I don't know how to spell anything anymore. I think it was METIC. Nobody cares. But if you're around the New York University area and you see a little M and like a weird K somewhere, that was me. I'm sure they got rid of it that night.
I don't know. That could be the kind of thing that like years later somebody's like, "Oh, medic, I've heard of that," and it just becomes immortalized because you're like, it
Like,
can't be touched. It's
bro, you caught the magic medic tag?
like art, like
We
the.
heard she never it's a she number one. Yeah, she was like a neglected girlfriend back in 2002.
Yeah,
Um
you can tell because the running paint looks like tears.
exactly.
What is my life?
Yeah, yeah.
So actually, before we get too far into it, tell everybody a little bit about like what you do, kind of like your role in comedy, because like we did a stand-up show together when we were in town, but I know you're involved with like a bunch of other things, and I loved your set by the way when we did that
Thank
show.
you.
So funny.
My God, it feels like haven't done stand up in forever and I miss it like crazy. But and I needed a bunch of new mom material, of course. And then all these like Gen Z people can look at me just like blink, blink and have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm a stand up and I'm a writer and I'm a pundit and a podcaster, all the things. Slash slash slash. I host a podcast called The Bituation Room, which is a weekly live show, news comedy, lefty politics, and I'm a contributor to the Young Turks go on all the time. The Damage Report, which is a show on there every Monday. But yeah, you can catch me around Los Angeles. I'll be SF Sketchfest in January with actually the live podcast. So
Hey,
in and out of different things, you know,
well,
follow me on socials at Franny Fio. Are we, this
yeah.
isn't, we're not rapping.
No,
We've
no,
got more
no.
to talk. We got way more to talk
I like
about.
to get it out of the way so that way we can just like, I don't forget to do it later, basically.
Good idea.
But just out of curiosity, like what got you involved, like being more like political leaning with some of your creative pursuits?
Mm. Well, it was sort of melding like my passions. So, like, I did go to New York University in the year 2001. And if you know anything about September of 2001, lots happened. Things fell, things
Mhm.
were set aflame.
Yeah.
And no, I was very politicized by 9/11, got involved in the anti war movement against the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, movements for global justice. So I was like kind of a rah-rah activist in undergrad. And then, like, have always been like like class clown, basically.
Yeah.
And did improv in high school and then started doing stand-up slowly but surely, not in New York, weirdly in Argentina.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I did stand-up in English in Argentina, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, that I've just sort of melding those two worlds of comedy and news has always been my passion. And so luckily with like the shows I'm able to do in my own podcast, I can like mix them. I don't have any support or money except for
Mhm.
the patrons, but it's still fun as hell. So, you know, when Trevor Noah taps me to fucking replace him,
Yeah.
I'll be there. Or as my mom and other relatives are always like, why don't you do the Daily Show? And you're like, oh my God, thank you. I should do the Daily Show.
Mhm.
Oh no, I haven't sent in audition tapes through my managers multiple times and been ignored,
Yeah.
or sent in packets and have them overlooked. No. But yeah, so that's me. I just like, you know, fighting against the sadness, laughing not to cry, you know, a little bit of sugar with the medicine, I think is really,
Yeah,
really important.
that's what the medic provides. A little
That's a medic.
Oh
Stop.
yeah. All
What
right.
up? My name medic. I'm sorry.
No, 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 go. Rap.
No, I don't know
Go,
what I
give it going,
just,
give it
if
going.
I were to live that life of like that medic life, yo, I'm here to heal you
Mhm.
one can at a time. I don't know.
Just healing minds and hearts,
Mm-hmm.
one bad graffiti design at a time. All right. So before we get into your story, we're just going to cover a few of the dumb and weird crimes that I've found on the internet. So we'll start off with this one just because it seems like it might be a little more applicable to you.
Oh,
Suburban mom handcuffed and jailed for making 8-year-old son walk half a mile home. Any first thoughts?
wow. Uh, like who runs? Is the mayor just like a baby? Is it just like, is
Yeah,
this
just
like
like
boss baby? Like we have come together. Like I don't know. Like what do they say? Does it sound like, how do you talk like a baby anymore? I don't even know I have one.
yeah, it could be offensive to some babies.
Yeah, if you're a baby listening, my bad. I didn't mean to do a baby accent.
I'm gonna
Don't
get,
drag me.
I'm gonna get a lot of emails, a lot of hate emails
No,
about.
but it is just like a little kid with like chocolate stains in the corner of his mouth. Like, this is uncalled for, and half a mile is way too long, and to carry your own backpack.
I guess
And
first question would be, how far do you think it would actually be to be a crime? Half mile doesn't seem like it would be that egregious.
4 miles.
Four is, yeah, four, because most adults don't do that.
4 miles for 8. I'm gonna say 6 miles for an 8-year-old on foot feels like a crime.
I feel like when we were kids, like I've definitely walked that far in the hopes of like maybe going to hang out with like a not 8, maybe a little older, like 12 or something. You're like, we heard Sam is making out with everybody in school, so we're gonna walk over to Sam's house and see if we can get a kiss. You know, like just we're gonna roll the dice.
That's what you would, yeah, walk 8 miles for.
Yeah.
This is like that song, and I would walk
Mhm.
500 miles
Yeah.
just
Because
to be made out with by a girl named
yeah,
Sam.
my
I don't know.
homies jump on the pegs on the bike and we'll just we're gonna ride.
This is your version of Stranger Things,
Yeah.
except without bikes.
It's just
Yeah, no.
more of a crusade. Yeah. So this a little bit more about the story. Heather Wallace's oldest son, Aiden, was driving his two brothers crazy in the car as they all returned from karate. I mean, at least they like mom's doing all right. She's putting the kids in karate class so they can defend themselves. So if you are going to be walking home and you're worried about somebody attacking your kid, at least they know a couple chops, maybe a kick.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. She equipped him. But it's basically like she made good on the you're gonna walk home if you keep screaming or you keep fill in the blank.
Yeah, she followed through with the threat.
Good for half a
Yeah,
mile. Of course you can fucking do that.
that's what I'm saying.
So what did he do? Did he stop off at a payphone or he stop off at the precinct and was like, "Listen, this bitch is crazy."
Yeah. So let's see. Aiden agreed to walk home. So he knew the terms. Like he agreed to the deal. It seems pretty straightforward so far. Like everything's above board. After all, it was something he had done many times. There are sidewalks the entire way and practically no traffic. But 15 minutes later, how long does it take this kid to walk half a mile? He's not going to be getting the president's trophy at school for a mile run anytime.
No, he was slacking. That's no. I mean, the funny thing is he's almost there. Like 20 minutes and that's done. That's half a mile pretty much.
Is this kid like really bad with directions and just started walking the opposite way?
No, I think like for 8-year-old little legs, he's
Yeah.
about to finish. He's like about to round the corner to his house. What happened?
So two cops knocked on Wallace's door. Her son was in their patrol car. Another officer was parked across the street. A
Oh
woman
my
one block
God.
away had called the cops to report a boy walking outside alone. Can't kids just roam anymore? I hate to be that guy, that just says, let them run, let them be outside, let them frolic, right?
No, exactly. It's like this child was enjoying fresh air, and we've not seen that in 30 years. So you're
So,
under arrest.
yeah, so the cops said Wallace told her that her son could have been kidnapped and sex trafficked, both, not one or the other.
I love how that's the cops like, and we were gonna do it actually. We were going to be the perpetrators in this case.
Just to teach you a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
These are all
It's
about
just
setting an example in this town.
could have been this is a town where nothing fucking happens.
No. I also love the idea that it said kidnapped and sex trafficked, so it could have been one of the others. Like he could have been sex trafficked and then just returned home. They could have just dropped him off.
Sure, yeah, he would have been home by dinner.
Yeah, right.
They're two different things.
Yeah, we'd have him back for supper. So you don't see much sex trafficking where you are, says the cop, but where I patrol in downtown Waco, we do.
Cool, bro.
Yeah.
Are you bragging about that? Oh, there's so much trafficking. Like, also, where are you? Like, why are you out of your jurisdiction? Go back to where you usually patrol. Out here, it's chill for an 8-year-old to walk half a fucking mile.
Yeah,
And so
I mean, does he think that he has an eye for the kids that would be most likely to be sex?
yeah, exactly. Your son is far too attractive. I mean, really, with those eyes.
Walking around all sexy like.
Maybe if you could ugg him up a little bit, that'd
Yeah.
be great. Tell him
Yeah,
to walk with a limp, a little lazy eye. But ma'am, your son is far too hot to be walking alone.
Build him some deterrence.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. So that's that story. Next one. This one just happened like last week. I don't know if you saw this like on social media or whatever, but 25,000 to 40,000 minks were released from their cages in Van Wert County in Ohio last night. Did you hear about this?
No.
It's
Minks? 25,000?
to 40,000. I don't know how you.
Oh my God. And they're little. They're babies.
Yeah.
They're small.
I'd never even seen a mink until
Oh no.
this story came up.
I'm thinking of chinchillas. I think minks might be a little bit bigger than chinchillas.
Not that much though. They kind of look like ferrets. I just like, so
Right.
you showed me a picture of a mink. I'm like, that's a ferret. Like people have like weird kids had those as pets.
Right.
I'm just wondering like it just made me think about like, I didn't even know minks were really a thing, let alone they're on a farm, is the mink coat industry doing that well these days? Like,
I remember mink coats from I think Cruella might have had. I guess Cruella wore Dalmatian, but like early villainesses who had you sort of saw the mink coat because they're like in these long tufts that are basically the body of the mink, just kind of like the folds,
Yeah.
like all together, and they're sort of like tails around. You're like, wow. And it was simultaneously like a symbol of being rich and hot, but then also a villain.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's never a good person wearing a mink coat. That's somebody
Nope.
who commits like corporate fraud. It's like those kinds of
Yeah,
crimes.
they smoke from the long cigarettes.
Yeah.
They've never married,
No.
and they hate children. Also, but like the good people who wear chinchilla, like Jay-Z wears a chinchilla coat or used to, and it's like imagine how many, or no, was it Biggie? Some large person, and
Oh,
Jay-Z's
Biggie
not
was
that large.
Biggie
But it's
was
like
huge.
how many chinchillas do need to die for Biggie Smalls?
Probably 25,000 to 40,000.
Exactly. And they all went. Now yeah, exactly. They're gonna create a mink coat for, I don't know. Is Big Pun still a thing?
Yeah, I think he's around.
He's doing things.
I don't think he's got too many beefs with a lot of people that he's still alive. So one of the reasons this story is like even kind of more interesting is because I had no idea that minks are just like terrors, apparently. So the sheriff warns local residents and farmers that minks are carnivorous mammals that stick to a diet consisting of fresh kills. Something has been sitting for like half an hour. It's not good enough for a mink. I want fresh.
They usually prey on karate kids walking home alone. Just a few miles.
Imagine.
Ma'am, do you know that there are minks roaming wild, looking for fresh boy meat?
So
no, I had no idea.
Just latched on, biting a child that it looks like he's wearing a coat.
Yeah, you go out looking fly as fuck, but like
bloody
fresh meat. I wonder what it eats. I mean, like probably like other small. Like I feel like rodents just eat smaller rodents.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just small. It's going to be like smaller animals. Minks have proven to be especially costly and problematic for poultry ranchers. So chickens, watch out.
Oh, I was going to also ask, yeah, like in the rodent, aviary, like whatever battle, who wins? I guess it depends on who's bigger, but like
from the land in the sky.
Yeah. Well, usually it's like obviously like rodents don't stand a chance against sky predators.
Sure.
But chickens don't fly.
No,
I mean,
they're fucked.
They're fucked. Minks. Everyone likes chicken. I think all species can agree chickens are delicious and they deserve everything that's coming to them.
But they're fucked. You know what I mean? In that classic argument, who wins, mink versus chicken? I think mink's gonna take it.
Like what? I'm sorry, I know this story is about minks, but I'm just like stuck on chickens. Like in what fight does the chicken win? You know what I mean? When does a chicken get to win?
I think roosters can fuck some things up. They got the talons and they get like they get going with the beak. Like I wouldn't want to fuck like a pack.
That's true. Right. The cockfights, etc.
If I see a couple chickens walking down the street, I'm walking across the street. I don't care if people think it's racist. I'm just like,
no, I think it's totally fine. I mean, I think we should talk about as you brought it up, so the chicken on chicken violence in that community. In the poultry community, we don't talk about it enough. It's like not PC to talk about.
Yeah, you could that can be your daily show pitch. Just talking about the chicken on chicken.
That's just my beat. Like, well, do you have anything else? Any other segment ideas? Well, I mean, there's another segment idea about like why did the chicken cross the road? I feel like it's timelessly comedic. So Trevor, holler,
Yeah. Give your girl a call. That's going to do it for our dumb crimes of the day. So now we can get into your story. And I would say, preface, like the reason that I love doing this is because mostly everybody's just done something dumb in their life, no matter like how heinous or sinister or mild it might be, or mundane. So I just think it's really fun to talk about this kind of stuff to hopefully help people feel better about some of the stupid things that they've done in their life. So what do you got?
Oh my God. Nothing like I've got real dumb and then like sort of semi-righteous, and I'm trying to think if there was anything else. So the things I never got caught for, the first thing I ever stole, and I never had a stealing phase, but I stole a pen from a pharmacy because I liked the pen. And I was like, you know what? This pen's good.
Was this
and I was like, You know what? It was one of those like basic Bic ones, but it was so worn in nicely, and I'm obsessed with nice pens that write well. And
Mhm.
so I like just like yep, pocketed it, and it was one of the like sign your checks or sign your credit card thing with the pen. It was nothing. No one cared.
Yeah,
Nobody cared. The other
sure.
thing I stole was in never got caught, but in H&M there was a jacket that didn't have a tag, and I was like, oh, I like this jacket. It was like, when you try on something and you like it, and then you look for the price tag. So I tried this thing on. I looked for the tag, and I didn't see a tag. So
Mhm.
then I was like,
This is mine
okay.
now. Yeah.
And I just put it over my arm and was like, and it's mine. Now, looking back, it might have been just like someone else's who, when you take off a jacket and you put it down and then you go to pick it, like I might have taken someone else's
The telling sign
jacket.
is that there were no other jackets like it on the rack. It
Well,
was
that's exactly. And so I'm like, I don't know if I stole someone else's H&M jacket. I don't, it's unclear, but it was a great jacket. It's fine. Those are like petty, dumb, never got caught crimes.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
I got arrested twice,
What?
on purpose. No, once not on purpose, the other time on purpose, but a la, like, harkening back to my activist past in 2003, January, I was arrested outside of the United Nations because Colin Powell was presenting his evidence of weapons of mass destruction to the General Assembly, which is bullshit. And so a group of us got arrested, and we like locked down First Avenue with banners and stuff, and like that said like the UN Charter. The UN Charter basically says it's our job to stop war, and it's like good, fucking it up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was arrested, like screaming at the cameras. I remember, and I remember I would like got on the news, and it was fun. And then I got on the NYCLU, New York Civil Liberties Union. What are we? And whatever, NYCLU had a press conference, and
None of us would know.
yeah, it's like the local ACLU. Anyway,
Yeah. But wait, so just out of curiosity, like when does that become like something that you can do freely, like as a freedom of speech, like right to protest? And when did it shift into like, oh, we're gonna get arrested?
so we planned to get arrested. We knew that if we shut down the street, even just with our bodies, we would be arrested, like summarily. We didn't lock down, like we didn't like have like bolts and stuff, or like lock boxes they call them, but we just had banners and such, and we like knew we were getting arrested because we were stopping traffic, and so that was the plan. And
You're just shouting, "Arrest me!"
yeah, pretty much. You're just like, and if you don't get arrested, it's kind of like a letdown. You're like, this sucked, because like it's a good headline, which is like a few, 20
like
people arrested.
getting a teardrop tattoo for all the times that you've been arrested.
Well, yeah, I guess I really want more, but the other time I got arrested. So anyway, I did like a press conference, and Michael Bloomberg was mayor at the time, and I was like, shame on Michael Bloomberg, blah, blah. I was like yelling at the cameras tight. Then the other time I got arrested was 2004. The next year, the RNC was held in New York, and they arrested, mass arrests, like hundreds, maybe a couple thousand people were arrested that day. And I was arrested on the fucking sidewalk, which sucked. I was like peacefully protesting with a group. I was by myself. Meaning I wasn't with friends. I was just taking some photos, and I was going to go around that day, and got held for 36 hours. And
what was the justification for it? Like
their justification, well, the GOP basically was told Bloomberg, we want no protesters on the streets for the RNC, so sweep them all up. So, like, again, thousands of people got arrested. There were tons of lawsuits. In fact, I'm misremembering. That's when I spoke at the NYCLU press conference, because it was super unjust arresting people. Like, we were on the sidewalk. It was bullshit. And they came in with their bikes. Like, the NYPD is like, we have bikes. And then they come in with nets. And then they don't chattel you, but they like, what is it? There's a word for it, but they basically like cordon you off,
but they're just like
kettle you. Sorry. I chattel and kettle. My bad. We're not chattel yet. That's when Elon takes over, but they kettle you, and then they say, hey, everyone's under arrest. And you're like, fuck.
But like, and you were held for 36 hours. I mean, was essentially everybody like that you were with, like in the cell, like with you, or what was your experience like being held? Did anything kind of stupid or like weird happen?
Well, they held us in a bus depot because they didn't have enough space in central booking in New York, in Lower Manhattan. So they held us in a bus depot on like Chelsea Piers, like over, on the west side. And the floor was disgusting. It was like a la, not as bad as detention centers, but it was like, there was like soot on the ground and it was gross. And there was so many of us, and people who had been shopping, like who weren't even part of any protest, who were just like, had like bags of clothing, had been swept up because they were on the sidewalks too. And I just remember I had friends in the cell next to me who had planned on getting arrested, and they got let out before me, and I was like, motherfucker. And so I was so mad. And I remembered my arresting officer. You're always supposed to remember your arresting officer, people, so you can know their badge number if you can, or at least know their name. And my dude was named like Doyle, which is such a good like fucking fat ass cop name that I was just like, Doyle.
This Irish fuck.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, where's Doyle? Doyle. And we all just like were, screaming his name. That was memorable. The other thing that was memorable is, when you get arrested in a protest, there's all kinds of people. So there's people who are like sort of old white pacifists who are like, I think we should sing "We Shall Overcome." And you're like, maybe not. Yeah. And then there's like young, kind of like militant people of color, like, we get divided by gender. So like young women of color who were all like, we got to chant. We have to fucking chant. Like, fuck that, we shall overcome bullshit. So there were like fiefdoms within the jail,
Are you more a chanter or a singer?
I was more of a chanter for sure, but I was like, let's come together. This is the problem with the left people. Mm-hmm. We can't, coordinate chants and singing. But the pacifists were like, that's a really aggressive chant. And we're like, yeah, we were aggressively arrested. So. Yeah. That's the second memory. The third memory, sorry, and this is the more interesting one, is I had to take a shit when I was in central booking. They moved us to central booking. And it was way overcrowded, and I really had to poo. Yeah, and I made a friend.
People get overlooked about protesting all the time is the places to go to the bathroom.
Oh, we're all like, "Fuck capitalism, I hate it," blah blah blah. And then as soon as it's done, we go into the Starbucks and shit. Like that's like, and we're like, "Oh, thank God, Starbucks is everywhere." I mean, I hate capitalism, but I will have a frappuccino and a shit. So
go to the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. Can I have the key? Thanks. But also, I hate this establishment. Howard Schultz.
Yeah.
So I really had to shit.
Right through the window on the way out.
Exactly. Just smear my shit on the wall.
Yeah, that would be under the power play.
Exactly. And now it's funny because at the time we had no real like sense of like, hey, the workers are people who have to. Like, it's not, we never really demonize workers, but I think now there's so much more consciousness around like Starbucks workers and like organizing and, which is dope. That's a digression. But anyway, so I had to poo.
Yeah.
I had to take a shit, and it was very upsetting. It's very upsetting when you're like, I have to poo so bad and you can't. Mm-hmm. And you're like, you've held it in for so long. And it's just so upsetting. And there were like 100 people in this cell. And of course the toilet, what do you think? Does it have a door? Of course not. It's in the fucking corner. Mm-hmm. There's maybe like a small little slats that give you some privacy, but otherwise nothing. And I made a friend, and I made her, like, we were like chill, we were homies. And I made her like stand in front of me to block me so I could shit. And did I do it? Of course not. Of course I couldn't go. I was my sphincter was very, very, very nervous and shy, and it was just like, and I was just like, I can't go. And she was like, it's okay, and I was like, I can't go. I haven't talked to her since. This was like in 2004 again, and I have not talked to this person.
But she did such an act of kindness.
She did, but also that defined our relationship, and so I was a little embarrassed to be like, hey, what's up? Remember when I couldn't poo in front of 100 people? And anyway, and I was like kind of crying about it. I was kind of being a real bitch about not being able to poo. Like I was going to die, but I don't know if anyone has ever died by not being able to poo.
Well, I might have been all over the top. Yeah. Yeah, and you're like, instead of ED, you're just having like flatulent dysfunction. Just kind of like, I'm so embarrassed. This never happens.
I know we were protesting like the war and like the Republican Party, and I know that's like way worse, but like I couldn't poo So in a way, I am a martyr. Anyway, we should get coffee at Starbucks.
Yeah, talk about capitalism.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I know you got to run, you got a busy day, but yeah, I really appreciate your story and having a goof with me for a little bit. Anything you want to plug or anything before we get out of here?
No, it's been a pleasure. I mean, yes, it's been a pleasure. And every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, whatever the other times are, wherever you are, on YouTube at Franny Fio and Twitch at Franny Fio. It's the Bituation Room, which is a live podcast. And Corey, you should be on.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to.
Hell yeah.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody listening, we'll talk to you later. And oh, actually, one more thing, but I got to plug next week. This episode will come out next week. I'm going to be in Bend, Oregon, doing a live version of the Interrogation at Craft Kitchen and Brewery on Friday, December 2nd. We'll have 3 local comics telling stories about crimes that they committed, and then we'll sit them down at the interrogation table, and me, my co-host, and the audience get to ask them questions about the story, and then we'll also have my phone number up on the screen so that people can text in their own crimes throughout the show that we can riff and raff about. We'll have donuts, we've got beer, we got fake cops. It'll be a hoot and a riot. So mark your calendars for that. And then I'll be headlining the show, Craft Kitchen and Brewery, that Saturday. So grab tickets. You can go to the links in my Instagram or my TikTok and find out more there. So thanks. See ya.